In Dandy's world, Toons and their personalities are usually formed around some trauma or insecurity. These traits are then shown through their interactions with other Toons, and also in their trinkets or stats. They are also very clear in their twisted form. These experiences also form their lore. In this video, we will take a look at the traumatic events that have shaped the lives of Toons in Dandy's world. And we will start with the Toon who started it all, the one without whom the story wouldn't exist, Dandy. Dandy gets quite a lot of hate because the lore of Dandy's world can be summed up as Dandy being the one responsible for everyone turning twisted. Or at least, that's what we think based on the hints in the game. He probably betrayed his friends, but it's clear from his interactions that he suffers from guilt. When you purchase any Toon from him, he usually has a funny comment to say, but when you buy Astro, he stays silent. We know that Astro was his best friend. There are old photos showing that the two played together before Garden View Center opened, and Astro also has a lot of dialogue where he shares concerns about Dandy. So it's implied that Astro knows what Dandy did. First, the requirement before you can purchase Astro is to encounter Twisted Dandy. What's interesting is that this requirement replaced the need to have mastery of another Toon, which normally main Toons have. For example, to buy Pebble, you first need to master Toodles. This even more highlights the importance of Astro and Dandy's relationship. But more importantly, Dandy would not ignore his best friend without a reason. This suggests that Dandy is afraid to talk to Astro about what happened. His guilt and fear of being abandoned also show in his elevator dialogue. When you ignore him, he slowly becomes irritated, trying to get everyone's attention so he feels useful. But Dandy still tries to present a cheerful face on the outside and act as if nothing had happened. What further supports that they have, in fact, distanced themselves from each other, and not that they hate each other, is something Quell said. She said that she doesn't understand where the community got the idea that Dandy and Astro's relationship is toxic, because that's not true at all. The two never said anything bad about each other. This can be seen as Astro's trauma too. Astro definitely takes it very hard that he didn't stop Dandy, or didn't help him, depending on what really happened. Or perhaps he chose to remain silent, hoping that it would take another turn. He might be a bit introverted, so maybe he wasn't ready to stand up to his best friend. But that's not his only insecurity. In one of the Dandy's World show posters, we can see Astro on a stage, completely consumed by anxiety. We know that this is his real insecurity, and not just the plot of that episode, based on his dialogue with Louie. He says he sometimes has stage fright too, thinking Louie has it the same. And let's not forget Astro's perhaps biggest insecurity, and that's his forearms. It was pretty much certain that Astro always wore the blanket to hide his forearms. Twisted Astro has 4 arms, so the community already guessed that was the reason. And recently this was confirmed when Quell created a series of Dandy's World plushies. One of them is Astro with a removable blanket, and underneath it, you can see his 4 arms. He never wants to take the blanket off, so we can assume he's embarrassed to have more arms than everyone else. With this duo out of the way, let's take a look at a different duo, Sprout and Cosmo, who are also best friends. Both are very cheerful and friendly. What could have gone wrong for them, right? It seems that they couldn't have experienced any trauma. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and the two were separated under terrible circumstances. The two have matching bracelets that, when put together, form a shape that resembles Dandy's petals. They also have matching skins related to caramel, but that does not reveal what happened to them. What, however, does is their twisted form. Cosmo and Sprout have similar ichor patterns, but they don't have ichor in the same place. Instead, it appears on opposite parts of their bodies, with hands completely clean. This heavily implies that they were holding hands when the ichor incident happened, with no way to reunite. And Quell also confirmed that this is not a coincidence, and that it was designed like this intentionally. This also leads us to the fact that Twisted Sprout seems to call for Cosmo. Even though ichor entered his heart and corrupted his body, he still misses his best friend. But this is still no match for V's insecurities. Even though it's shown that she has a very good relationship with Astro, Sprout, and several other Toons, she's deeply insecure and terrified of being abandoned. She feels not truly seen, as if everyone around her only sees her as a line of code. This can be seen in a dialogue with Roger, when he asks if he could use her knowledge. It's clear that V doesn't want to be seen just as a tool. This is also very clear in a clip where Veronica, V's handler, brings V the news that she will be upgraded to a better version. V doesn't like the idea at all, saying that nothing will change and that she's more than her code. But V is not the only Toon who feels overlooked by others. Shelly is probably the most ignored Toon out of all the characters. I honestly feel bad for her, since she's such a caring and pure soul. But other Toons seem to completely ignore her. This is also described in the description of her twisted counterpart, which reads, "The blatant ignorance of her existence by everyone around her has enraged her." In her dialogues, you can see that she's very surprised but excited when other Toons show interest in her. We can also see that she's somewhat forgotten by the people who are responsible for the Dandy's World show. Although Shelly cast one episode with V, her only appearance on screen that has been preserved is her completely alone. And even Dandy doesn't acknowledge her properly. When you buy Shelly for the Dandy's store, he has a very judgmental comment. Who, on the other hand, would rather be forgotten and never talked to again, is Shrimpo. Shrimpo's personality is very angry. The most notable thing is that he claims he hates anything and everything. He's also a very prominent bully of other Toons. There could be many reasons why someone would grow to be such a bad person. From a psychological perspective, a common reason a kid becomes a bully is that they lack attention from their parents. Many players believe that this might be the reason. Of course, instead of parents, we have handlers, so he might have been mistreated by his handlers in the past. Or maybe he wasn't treated well by other Toons in the past, so he started bullying them for attention, and it stayed with him since. What is your theory about Shrimpo? Let me know in the comments, and let's take a look at a Toon who might have been on the other side of the barrier, the one being bullied. Glisten looks very charismatic and proud on the outside, but inside, he's broken into pieces. Even though his ego gets in the way sometimes, he isn't super self-centric. He's very afraid that the stuff others can see on the outside isn't always perfect. This is shown, for instance, in a dialogue with Sprout, where Sprout pranks him into thinking that his mirror is cracked. But he often overworks himself, striving for validation. He wants to be seen as useful. This is perfectly visible in the notes he wrote, which you can find in his room in the roleplay mode. In one note, he talks about helping Roger move some files. At the end he writes, "I'm always there at the best times. I just wish everyone could see that." This implies that Glisten still believes that his high efforts are not good enough for the other Toons, and he has to push himself even more. And these feelings affect him deeply. It's shown in his dialogues with Toodles that he often cries. He's also very afraid of being abandoned. Just listen to his Twisted Form's lines. "I need someone. I don't want to be alone. Don't leave me." And phrases like that repeat all over. Not to mention that his twisted self is activated when he's left alone for a moment. A Toon that is similar in many ways to Glisten when it comes to insecurities is Brusha. We don't know much about her, but she's very defensive and prideful when it comes to her art. You can see this in her dialogues, where she gets really mean if anyone even slightly criticizes her work. We can work out that something bad happened between her and Tisha. The two have the most dialogues out of every duo of Toons. All other pairs have 2 dialogues at most, but Brusha and Tisha have 4. But in all of them, one ignores the other. This shows something serious must have happened between them. In the teaser thumbnail for Brusha, we can see her and Tisha holding hands and smiling, but something broke their friendship, and Brusha smudged an X over Tisha's face on the photo. We can assume that it has something to do with an episode of Dandy's World show they filmed together. In one dialogue, Brusha tells Tisha to get over it, because the show was years ago. But all of this seems small compared to Toodles' trauma. Toodles must have gone through some serious pain, because for some unknown reason, her head in the twisted form has a huge opening. There are 2 theories surrounding her. Some players think it's a bite mark. I don't think so. There's only Twisted Pebble who could have done this, but I don't think he did. The second theory is that she got hit very hard on her head. My theory is that either she ran into a wall or something heavy fell on her head. In both cases, I think it happened in the dark. From her dialogue, it's clear she has a strong fear of the dark and dislikes the elevator. Maybe long ago they left her behind on the floor, all alone in the darkness. The experience was so intense that, as shown in the dialogue with Gigi, she to this day has trouble sleeping at night. It seems like the child-age Toons in Dandy's World went through the worst, because the most trauma probably happened to Gordy, and there's a lot around him. I have a whole video about the different theories on what happened to him. I will see you there.